Good Wednesday morning, everybody, and welcome to TRS Live. I am your host, Matt Trotz, and I'm here to save you a bunch of money, and I have my pets with me today. We are talking about turkey hunting. Now, you're going to say, turkey hunting's over with. Why are we talking about turkey hunting? But the thing about it is, with the price of some of the decoys right now that are out there, these high quality, high realism decoys, like I want to save you a bunch of money. So next turkey season, or even this fall, if you use decoys and turkey calls coming up in the fall season, you have a great arsenal going forward. Now remember, everybody, Fix TV subscribers, you have $5 credit on your account for the Real Shot. And that's not just for this month, that's every month you are a Fix TV subscriber. So if you haven't got your information filled out yet properly, go to the frequently asked question portion of fixtv.com, send that information in, and then we will get you your $5 credit. And remember too, that's every single month you are a subscriber, we're gonna give you a $5. So it's $5.99 to sign up, right? Great shows like Head to Head, The Guide to Life, Jake Jacobs Show. We got a bunch of other shows in the works. I'm actually excited for my phone to go off during the show, but Aaron has a cool tech show that he's going to be coming up with that is going to be a great one. Aaron and Andy are going to be doing that show. So there's a lot of cool content that's out there. Plus, so it's $5.99 to sign up, so we already give you a $5 credit to the Real Shot, right? Then if you refer a friend and they sign up, you earn yourself a month free of viewing. So for every friend that signs up, you could potentially earn a year's worth of free viewing for basically 99 cents. So some of the decoys we're going to talk about today, maybe you want to use that $5 credit for. If you haven't yet, please follow TRS Live on our socials. It's Facebook, Instagram, and then while you're over there, like the Real Shot stuff. I've been trying to post some to TRS Live and to the Real Shot, talking about some of the deals that we got. We've had some great guests on the show. And then if you do have any in-depth questions that we don't answer here on TRS Live, don't hesitate to get a hold of the staff at the Real Shot. 920-750-6140 is the phone number, or you can hit them up on the Real Shot Facebook page. Send a message and we'll do our best to get that answered in a promptly manner. So, coming up first here, you see it on the desk right now. We are looking at the Dave Smith Leading Hen Decoy. Now, the cool thing about this decoy is the super realism that Dave Smith incorporates into his decoys. Now, the cool thing about Dave Smith is there was some taxidermy, some artwork, all blended in together to make these fine line of high realism decoys. You see the pricing on your screen right now. Look at this thing in nature. That thing looked awesome out there. $129.99 is normal retail price. $99.99 is the sales price right now. That's $30 off on this awesome high realism decoy from Dave Smith. DSLHD is the code you're going to want to use at therealshot.com to find this product. Otherwise, on the left-hand side of the Real Shot, there's a tab. You can click on that, TRS Live, and then that'll also bring you to the calendar of upcoming products as well. But let's talk some more about this thing. So first of all, the first thing you're going to notice, this hen right here is in a very kind of in a good posture, right? She's not fully alert. She's not, just in a feeding she's in a very nice proper stance right here. And the cool thing about it, now here's a tip, right? We've had Gary Atkins on here, we had Cody, we have a lot of great Real Shot staff talking about tips. Here's a tip from me. I love turkey hunting. I love turkey hunting with these realistic decoys. This thing is pretty darn lightweight, first and foremost, so you can pack it in, take it wherever you need to be, and depending on the stage of the strut, right? Normally we have the whitetail rut. I'm going to stay in the stages of the strut. That's when you're going to depend it. Maybe you want a Jake to go along with this. Maybe you're just going to run the solo hen. Here's the tip that you have though. Always place the head towards the position you are going to, be sitting, right? So if I have the hen, if I'm sitting right here against the TRS Live wall right here, I want the head facing me, because a lot of times with the direction this decoy is made, the tom is going to approach from the head side. He wants to display to the head side. So if you, whether you're bow hunting, shotgun hunting, whatever it may be, always try to place that head towards you. Now the cool thing about it is with very little breeze, this decoy is going to rotate in the wind. And with a nice heavy duty stake that you get with it, they actually have some stoppers on here where you can get this thing to rotate properly, but it's not going to give you that crazy spin. Like remember in the day with the foam decoys that you saw out there, they just get in the wind and they just spin all over the place. This thing is going to give you a nice natural movement with the slightest of breezes. Comes with a nice, very, very nice carrying case, but it's you know, extremely lightweight. Now let's get into some of the technology behind this. Excuse me. ACE is the components that this decoy is made for, the abbreviation for that. That's Advanced Cross-Link Elasto. So what that means is, and there's actually a really cool video on their website. They shoot one of these decoys with 12 gauge, very high performance turkey load. And because this is a self-healing foam, it actually could take the brunt. Like the guy picks the decoy up, shakes it, you can hear all the BBs in here, but then when they zoom the camera in, you can't see where the holes are because this product, the properties of this material that they make it out of is better than polyurethane, polyethylene, so it actually heals itself up very, very nicely and it can take that. So a lot of times, right, if a tom approaches this decoy, you know, he may try to mount it, depending on how you have it set. You know, if you don't run the stake and you want to run it as a lay down in that breeding position, you can do that. But if the tom gets up here, and I've had them before, you saw a Guided Life this year where we've had some of these Dave Smith decoys out there, that tom didn't break strut. He was so focused on these hens and the decoys that were out there, he didn't break strut. And we basically were yelling at him to try to get him to break strut to make a really nice clean shot. But with that bird in this position, you know, we heard Charlie during that Guided Life say, dude, if you have to shoot when he's on my decoy or near my decoy, do it, right? He trusted in the Dave Smith. Plus he knows that the high realism of these things, man, there was no fooling that or getting that bird out of strut because he was totally fooled thinking these were the real deal. And they look absolutely phenomenal. The other thing too is, I mean, just look at the coloring of this thing. Here's the thing. When I drive by a field in the spring of the year, and if it's a plowed up field, the first thing I always look for is the copper tones of a turkey. They don't always look black to me. They don't always look brown for me. To me, when you get the sunlight right on these, you can see there's copper toning in these decoys. For me, that's the first thing I notice is that iridescence that some of these feathers have. That's how I can usually pick out a turkey before I really see it move or anything like that. That's the same thing that the turkey's going to be able to do. Now, if you just looked at the Real Shot page this morning, I shared a post talking about how unbelievable the turkey eyesight is, right? As a new turkey hunter, the one thing you always hear from whether it's your father, your mentor, whoever it may be, your mom, whatever, they're going to talk to you about, like, don't move. When the turkey's in the field, don't move. The old adage was they could see you blink from 100 yards away. That's not that far off the truth. I mean, look at that post I did on the Real Shot page. They could see 260 degrees by the eyes being on the side of their head. So basically, they have full 360 revolution here. They can see. Plus, they have their receptors, the photoreceptors in their eyes are way better than ours, and they can see way more color. They can see in some stages of UV. So, like, the biggest thing you got to do is you got to fool the eyesight of a turkey, whether that's you don't move or you got to fool them in having a lifelike, extremely awesome decoy here. So the Dave Smith, this is the leading hen. This is one of the perfect decoys that you could purchase as you're getting into that high-end decoy game. At $130, that might get a sticker shock to a lot of people. They're like, holy man, it's only a turkey. But yes, when you go out there time after time and those birds are hanging up at like 60, 70, or 100 yards, this little extra realism, I mean, just the head in this thing is unbelievable, is going to help you coax that bird in. Maybe it's an extra 10 yards. That extra 10 yards can make the difference of getting a shot or not getting a shot. You know, the thing too that is with the realism in here, a lot of times if they are henned up or if there's a big flock situation like early in the year, you got to fool the hens. That's all there is to it. We always think of it like we got to fool the toms, but you gotta fool the hens. And when the hens are in your decoy set, whether it's one decoy or you're running a flock situation, you need the hens to be relaxed, and you need the hens to be okay with that situation. As soon as they go on alert, I mean, look at this thing in the nature. As the sun kind of rotates off the back, you can see it's the right colors. It's that hen looking colors. So fool the hens a lot of times are going to bring the toms in, whether it's a solo tom, maybe he's off in the brush strutting, and a hen comes in and she sees this and she gets mad at it and starts, pecking at it or whatever. That might be enough to bring that tom in. Or just the fact that she's in here, she starts pecking around. Toms are getting decoy shy. I don't care where you live, where you hunt. Toms are getting blind shy and they're getting decoy shy. So you need to put all the advantages in your bag per se, and you need to be able to trick those toms into coming into your set, especially if you're starting to archery hunt or crossbow hunt turkeys. The cool thing is with a shotgun, right, you have a margin of error. With a bow or with a crossbow, there is zero margin of error. You need to hit them in the right spot, and you need them super close so you can make a confident, ethical shot. Having a high-end decoy like the Dave Smith leading hen decoy that you see on your screen is that way. And like we talked about, at $99.99, this is the perfect decoy to get you into that high-end world. You get into there, right? Test the waters, dip your toes in. You like the temperature of it. Now you can start adding more and more. And heck, we might even have some more decoys that will pair up today with this leading hen decoy. The other neat thing too is with the technology, the ACE technology that they make these things out of. Not only is it super durable, but the paint actually bonds very well to that material, where you know that it's going to last. That price range at even $100, if I'm making that investment, I don't want to have to second guess, is this thing going to last me throughout the years? They give you this high-end quality bag with it. In the off season, I'm actually going to bring in one of my decoys here a little bit later on during the show and just show you. And I sometimes treat my stuff great. Sometimes I don't treat my stuff that great. Leave it out in the blind, whatever. You have to leave it out overnight to get back into the set or your blind in an early morning situation. But with these, the ability for the paint to adhere to this technology that they have here, you know that you're not going to get any fading. You know that you're going to keep that realism color that you get here. And the other thing too, Aaron, let's go to that up view again. I'm going to try to show, just look at the texturing in the feathers that are on this. I mean, look at the top of this thing. Look at the detail all along here, even down into the fan portion or the tail portion of this thing. Super realistic, and they didn't really skimp on it either. It goes all the way through the top, the bottom of it, and then as I rotate it around, I'm going to try to show you here. Look at how realistic this, I always go the wrong way. 10 shows in, guys, and I still can't figure it out. But look at the detail. Taxidermy eye. That's one thing, too, that you got to pay attention to. Look at the gloss. Look at the shine on this eye. Even the snood. I mean, that's crazy. The detail, the amount of time. You got to remember, this stuff started with art. It started with art, looking at the real thing. And they're like, we always can't take a stuffed turkey out to the woods with us. I mean, that's the ultimate to having a real thing. So how close can we get to the real thing? Just this subtle detail in the wing, the patterning in the wing, the iridescence. You can kind of see it here as I rotate it in the light. There, see that shine coming through right here in this light? Look at this. It's so awesome. Man, I wish turkey season wasn't over with. just gets me excited again to go back out there. But this Dave Smith leading hen decoy is a phenomenal decoy. Once you make that investment at $99.99, it's going to last you an absolutely long time. Plus, transportation wise, they thought of it all, right? We have some big ports in here to make it more lightweight. We have the decoy stake here on the bottom portion of it, and it sits just right, so you know that when I have it in here, I'm going to get that right spin like we talked about. Now you take the stake, and it's actually a rod. It's not plastic. It's not a carbon rod. It's actually a nice heavy-duty rod. And you can go right in here, slide it along the back of the tail, and that way it's out of the way. And when you're done with it, put that right back in there. so you know where it's at, and then stuff it in the bag, and you're gonna have the ultimate setup here. But again, look at the color of it. I just can't say it enough, everybody. This thing is awesome. And we talked about we need to fool the hens. We can make the hens jealous. Sometimes that's just going to be the trigger. That is all it's going to take to bring that decoy shy, mature tom into your decoy set. But I mean, this is awesome, and they really thought of it all, the details of it all. They also made it somewhat, you know, I'm not going to say this is the most lightest, easiest packable decoy on the market, but if you're using this a lot of times, you are okay with making the long haul because you know you're hunting a mature bird. You know that you need to, you know, have the right look at decoys to get that mature bird in. So, and if a lot of times you have something like this, maybe you're hunting out of a ground blind, just pack it all in at once. They make a lot of this stuff so easy and so convenient for you. Pack it all in, leave it in the blind if that's the right spot to be. The nice thing too is with the realism that these decoys offer, they're going to call birds in from a long way. So this is going to be the perfect decoy to use in a field situation. A lot of times in early spring, we still have, you know, small alfalfa fields, wheat fields, or we're hunting plowed fields. And this thing, with that little bit of movement that you'll get with the right wind, this thing is going to call that tom in from a long ways. Even if you're not the greatest caller in the world, having a high quality decoy like this is going to save the game for you a lot of times. So if you don't feel confident in your calling, you better feel confident in your decoys, and with this Dave Smith leading hen decoy, you can most definitely do that. And here's the deal, everybody, at $99.99, we don't have a ton of these available. So you better order it now, because this is literally here today, gone tomorrow type of aspect. Like, I think there's less than 5 of these available. So at that price range, they're going to go fast. By the time you order it, we might be out already, and I apologize for that, but we need to clean out some of this old inventory to bring in some of the newer inventory. So you got to take advantage of this awesome deal on this Dave Smith leading hen decoy. So we talked about, let's just recap some of the high-end features of this decoy before we move on to the next stuff. It's got that advanced cross-link elastomer technology to it, which is better than polyethylene, right? It's going to last a lot longer. It's going to take some abuse. So if you actually shoot it with the shotgun, it's going to be able to withhold that. It's got the leading hen portion, so always place that head towards your setup so you can get the shot. The bird's going to want to come to the front and display. At $99.99, this is the ultimate decoy to breaking into that high decoy name that you're seeing here on TRS Live. So go ahead, it's DSLHD is the code entered into the realshot.com. But again, just look at the realism of this thing. This thing is awesome. So that's the Dave Smith leading hen decoy, normally $129.99. We have it on sale right now for $99.99. But coming up next, we're going to continue on talking about turkey hunting. We got another amazing lifelike decoy up here on our screen. It's the Avian X HDR Jake decoy. So we'll be right back after these commercial breaks. It's Matt Trotz here with The Guided Life. We just met up with one of the guys from the crew, and he's like, they're on a hot track, so it's put her 4 high and get on these back roads and scream. Every year that I've been a part of that and I go to that class, I always learn something. So these guys are going to join me, and the reason I asked these 2 guys in here is because we got Travis, who does a lot of public land hunting, and then Judd and I are private land, owners and hunters for the most part as well. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Welcome back, everybody, to TRS Live. I am Matt Trotz here, and we're talking turkey hunting today. The season just passed. It feels like it's years away, or years over with, but it's only about just over a month. I'm still sad about it. I love turkey hunting. It is my number one thing to do in the spring of the year for sure. I miss a lot of walleye trips. I miss a lot of spring panfish because I'm dedicated, man. I absolutely love it. And now this is probably my favorite brand. So let's get into this. This is the AV&X brand. I absolutely love this brand. When I started breaking into the high-end decoy world, the AV&X world is what I broke into. And we're going to talk about some of that stuff coming up here at the end of the show today. But they realized that their competition, was putting a lot of pressure on them to have the high-end realism world, right? Like we've just got done talking about that with the Dave Smith world, which they're the pioneers. They started the revolution for the high-end turkey decoy. And then AV&X came out with their high-end technology, but then they wanted to get in that same world of the Dave Smith stuff. And looking at here, this is the HDR Jake decoy, and that HDR stands for heavy duty realism. So here, look at this thing. I mean, they went as far as, Aaron, bring her on into the sky view here. Look at this, look at the legs. Let me show you here. I'm trying to get it up. They actually have little mini spurs on these legs. This thing is awesome. You talk about heavy duty realism. Let's get into the eyes here. I'm going to try to show you. Here we go. Look at the eyes. Look at the head coloring on this thing. Look at the detail in the head of this. Here we talked about that copper look to it. Look at how they did a nice job with that copper look. We talked about that with the Dave Smith. When I see a turkey in the field, like I'm noticing that iridescence, that copper look. Boy, they knocked this one out of the park too. Plus, they went as far as to put a flocking. This is like a velvet flocking on the back of this stuff, a felt. This thing is absolutely real. It's the same thing, just like the Dave Smith, that high-end technology runs all the way through the whole entire decoy. This is supposed to simulate a Jake. That's why we have the small beard on here. And then the cool thing is let's get into some of the head posturing. So this one right here this is the I believe they call this is the quarter strut position. So this bird is thinking about strutting. He's approaching your decoys. This works really well with that Dave Smith decoy, whether you have it in the standard position or in a breeding position. But the coloring of this thing is absolutely they went even as far as look at the legs. The legs are even like set up like this bird is walking in the field. But we have two different heads that this decoy comes with here, so we can take off. If you want a little more aggressive posture, you got this head right here. Then you grab over here, we have a different head, and it's just really simple. Just twist on there, and we can just yes, I shrug. It's so simple that, well, this is coming from me. I couldn't even put the open the bag the other day, guys. Okay, no, it's because I'm using my left hand. What is going on here? It's not even Monday anymore. She's so simple that Trotz can't even do it. Cut. You guys sabotaging me? Is this Punk? Are we watching Punk'd here? All right, there we go. You just got to be smarter than the decoy, which I am not. This is fun. I love struggling live television. Yeah, Dylan. Of course, Dylan is on. What is Dylan saying today? Jesus, I feel like. Oh, you could hear my famous turkey call. It's not very good. But anyways, the head switches out. You can go with a couple different head features of this thing. Man, I'm just I got to start practicing on this stuff before the show. I'm just feeling like a fool. But anyways, let's just get back into a high definition. It's the heavy duty realism. The other thing too is the body size of this turkey. It's a little bit smaller than a normal turkey. So it's not that super intimidating posture that you see with some of the other big full-fledged, full-fan decoys, right? Like they did a really nice job with this thing. They make it so it's like the intimidation factor is there. There you can see it in the natural setting too. It looks really great. Again, the way the natural light hit this thing. But it's tempting enough for that tom to want to come up and be aggressive towards it depending on which head you use. But the other thing about it too is that the fact is it's not overpowering, right? If a bird approaches this, a big mature tom approaches this, see in the spring of the year, the thing that happens a lot of times is, you know, the jakes, the younger birds, right, the immature toms will gang up on the big mature toms. I've seen it happen a bunch. It actually happened to us a couple times this year on the Guided Life episode. Those were more mature birds. They had, well, mature meaning they had full beards, not the small beards like this bird is supposed to emulate. But they will gang up on them. And I've seen flocks of jakes run off big mature toms. They literally, they call them like boss jakes. They will literally run them off the field. And then what you don't want, though, is that to happen. As these birds get picked on throughout the course of the strut, right, you know, there's a time and a place to running a jake. But for me, I've went to running a jake in like that Dave Smith leading hen. That is my go-to. If I'm running 2 decoys, that is my go-to. I want a jake, whether it's in this quarter strut, you know, if I have the option to run the head here, the more aggressive head or the subtle head that you see here. This is that when that bird approaches, he's going to stick that neck up and he's going to be looking, right? He wants to create the illusion that he's a little bit bigger. That's why toms strut to begin with. It's not only to display, but it allows them to look bigger than what they really, really are. So by this jake decoy, kind of simulating the best of both worlds, like, hey, I want to start taking over this area. This is my hen now. Or the fact is, look at me. You can see me from a distance. With the coloring that they put into this, that heavy-duty realism that AVNX put into this, this is awesome. Now that we talked about subdominant, right? This is the goal with this thing. Is I'm dominant enough to maybe steal your hen away, but I'm still not feeling confident enough in my game where if you come up to me and you push up on me a little bit, I may you know, bluff and get the heck out of there. So this decoy is the perfect decoy for running out there. And I mean, the thing about it is we want to talk about heavy, or the realism of this thing, that flock back. Again, as that light hits it, show that again to Aaron out in the natural light setting. I mean, that natural light setting, the way this thing looks out in the open, it looks phenomenal. You can see it from a distance. Those birds with their high-end real eyesight are going to see it from a distance. And you can see the prices right there too. $149.99 is the normal retail price. $105.90 or $104.99 is the price right now. And this is another one of those things, right? Like, it's an after season special is what we're doing here on TRS Live. The turkey season is unfortunately over with. So let's move out some of this inventory. Let's get out, so who knows what's coming up for next spring. Let's move out some of this stuff. But when you buy decoy, even at that $104.99 price, this is still one that you're going to have for years. And with the trusty bag, it comes in another nice bag like you see here. This is actually my bag. I'll set this guy down for a second. You know, my bag's been used and abused, but I can carry a lot of stuff in this bag. It's a heavy-duty cloth bag. Yes. What was it? What was the question about the neck? Like, how does the turkey do it? Okay. Well, we got some comments coming. Remember, the chat lines are open. We got Dylan and Doug on there. They're like to pick on me today, but here. So here, I can just take these heads off. This is the decap now. This is what they call this one. I just created this new decoy. It's called the decap. But you can see here, so what he does is when he approaches it, we talked about, we got your different head features here, right? So when this jake approaches it, he's either going to stick his neck way up to get himself appear a lot bigger, or as he tucks in tighter to that body with this more aggressive head motion, you know, he's going to you know, be able to display bigger that way. And that's what that quarter strut position too is. Aaron, let's come back in here again. Let's look at the heads. Okay, so I'm going to show you. So we got those heads features, and that's cool too, that this, at $104.99, you get those 2 head features, right? But let's go into the detail here. Okay, let's start with the more aggressive head. That's the one in my right hand here. So look at even the snood placement of this thing, right? The snood can emulate, as they get excited, you know, look at the difference here. I'm trying to show you. Is that the better way to see it? There. Okay, so, you know, look at this snood. So this bird is more, he's kind of more in that, I'm trying to get aggressive. Now this one here is like I'm aggressive with my neck curled in, but I'm also a little more relaxed. A lot of times when you hear them, they're up there, they're purring or more aggressive purring. But we get into the eyes. Look at the eyes and the paint color too. A lot of people don't know this. The head will actually change colors as they get more or less excited, you know, depending on the color of the or the snoot and the wattle and all this other high-end stuff here. You either get more red or we get more white. I mean, it's hard to see from that angle, but they even put ears on these heads. It's so crazy how much creativity they put in these decoys. And that's the thing, everybody. I mean, at that high-end price range that you would normally spend on these, you know, we get into the body of this thing too, right? Like at $104.99, this is one that you're going to have for a very, very long time. The big steak hole here, put your steak in the bottom of it. You know, you're going to get the steak in there. This decoy is going to give you still some awesome lifelike movement out there. You know, it's just an awesome, awesome decoy. And at that price, I love the Avian X stuff. This one here, man, if I didn't have like, I think I have about 7 or 8 of these Avian X decoys already. If I want, oh man, I should add another one to my arsenal. This thing is awesome. But this is a great, great decoy. Check it out again, out in the realism right there. $104.99 is the price you're going to get it at. Again, this is the Avian X HDR. The HDR stands for the heavy duty realism. It's the Jake decoy. This thing is phenomenal. AVXJD is the code you're going to type into the real shop price. Is $104.99, normally $150. We got it on sale for basically $105. This is a good portion if you have that $5 credit available. If you're a fixed TV subscriber, use that $5 credit, get this decoy for $100. It's awesome. Pair it with the Dave Smith hen decoy that we already talked about. That is a awesome, awesome combination. So we do have some more turkey stuff coming up next. We're going to be talking about a Primo's box call. This looks like a great box call right here, so that'll be coming up next. There you go, Doug. You'll be able to hear me try to demonstrate some turkey calling on the box call. I'm sure that's going to go really well, really, really well compared to how well the show's going for me today so far. So we'll be right back talking about turkey Primo box call right after these commercial breaks. It's Matt Trotz here with The Guided Life. We just met up with one of the guys from the crew, and he's like, they're on a hot track, so it's put her 4 high and get on these back roads and scream. Every year that I've been a part of that and I go to that class, I always learn something. So these guys are going to join me, and the reason I asked these 2 guys in here is because we got Travis, who does a lot of public land hunting, and then Judd and I are private land, you know, owners and hunters for the most part as well. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. We are back. Welcome back, everybody, to TRS Live. We are We are continuing our turkey talk here on a Wednesday, and I'm excited to talk about the Primos brand. This is the Revival Wood Grain Turkey Call. So some history on Primos, right? Like, I was looking this up, and it's not that shocking, but it's still fun to talk about. Will Primos is the creator of obviously the company Primos. I've watched a lot of their videos over time. That's when there was technically three seasons for me. There was deer season, turkey season, and then there was DVD season. And I used to buy every DVD I could for whitetail hunting. And the Primos brand was one of their DVDs I bought a lot of because they were a great group of guys to watch. Plus, they did a great job on an instructional portion of it, whether you were watching their deer or their turkey hunting videos. So, who's that? iHunter. Well, perfect. Thanks, iHunter, for sharing this with your friends. Hopefully, they're laughing with me and not at me as I struggled to put that head on there. But anyways, we've talked about a couple great products for the decoy wise, right? Dave Smith and Avian X. But now we're continuing to talk about turkey hunting with the calls. This is a box call. So Will Primos created his first call in 1963. He was actually 11 years old. It was a duck call. And then it blossomed from there. He started making mouth calls, and it got real popular, and everybody wanted them. So like 1976 is when he really started kicking off and started marketing the brand. So that's a long time to be in the industry. And this is a very saturated industry. There's turkey calls, there's goose calls, there's duck calls from a lot of different manufacturers out there. For the Primos name to be so stable since like around 1976-ish, that's pretty impressive. And they still make high-end quality products. So again, we're looking at a box call here. We're carrying on with turkey call. The first thing I notice about this thing is this is a very beautiful turkey call, if I ever say that. And I don't say that about turkey calls very often because mine are getting beat up. Mine are getting put through the paces. But as I pick this up, the craftsmanship, this thing is hand tuned. It's master crafted. The craftsmanship of this box call is absolutely amazing. The durability of it, I just feel like this thing is going to last a long, long time. And you can see the price on the screen. Now, $54.99 is a very, very good price for this call. I mean, it is built very well. The cool thing here is I see like the high potent, it's this nice set screw at the mouth of the lid here. This thing is going to last you a long time. Very, very, it fits the hand very well, so it's ergonomically fits very well. It's got good sound. So I know Doug was ready for me to start making some turkey sounds. So you thought it was bad when I tried to put a decoy head on here. Listen to some of the turkey calls. But, I personally, let's talk about a tip real well. Okay, so you can run these one of two ways. The box call is probably the perfect call for the beginning. It's easy to use for the most part. Take the paddle. So they call this the paddle portion on the top. And then the box portion's right here. It's all cut out so you can see that's where your sound chamber is. And they actually send you with a little bit of chalk in here. The chalk is for putting on the edges of the paddle. That's what allows it to get the noise. But Primos is out of Mississippi, so there's some really, really call-shy birds down there. You got to be super realistic with your calling. So if you are beginning, I would recommend whatever hand you are, dominant hand-wise, you're going to want to hold it in your non-dominant hand. So like me, I am right-handed, so I'll put the box portion of this call in my left hand. And I like to grip it kind of loose. I don't want to grip it super tight because that could affect the noise. So I kind of pinch it, like if you were holding the end of your shotgun. You kind of grip it like that, or your rifle, or whatever gun you may be shooting. I kind of grip it, and I can also use my hand as like a sound chamber at the backside here. And then I will, if you grab the paddle, you can go one or two ways. And there's no chalk on this thing. This thing is fresh out of the package. You can kind of get into some of those more aggressive calls. It's got a nice raspy sound to it. The reason I love box calls are on those windy days, or if you are hunting some hilly terrain. Like when I was in Nebraska, there was some elevation, big time drops there, where it dropped, I don't know, I'm guessing 1,000 feet, and then it went back up 1,000 feet, where you have to cut through. And you add a wind through those bottoms, you add some, some extra noise, you start putting foliage on the leaves, on the brush, the underbrush, things like that. That's where the box call for me shines. If I need to reach out and I need to get a gobble or I need to locate a bird as I'm moving in and he's not responding to a owl hoot or a crow call, I'm not getting a shot gobble, but I think he might be on the other side of a timber on a field or something like that. That's where I love. You can really get aggressive with this, or you can even tone it down. You can get really, really quiet with this thing too. Now, it's awesome. This is the box call for me is, even though it's the beginner, that's not the call I'm going to use when I got to coax that bird in, the last 100 yards. That's where I'm going to go to either a slate call that I can run a little next to my side, or typically at that point, that's where I'm going to run the diaphragm. But if I'm locating, if I'm running and gunning and I got to locate a bird and it's a windy day especially, I'm picking up the box call. And there's just sometimes that I've had it happen to me where they only respond to one type of call. Whether it's you hit the mouth call just the right way and that's what gets that bird to respond. Sometimes it's a slate call, sometimes it's glass, whatever, it's that whatever friction. There's days where the box call it's making that right noise, and that's the only thing that they're going to respond to. So then you got to run it and you got to use it the whole entire time. But you can see here, I'm trying not to move this a whole lot, and I'm getting some pretty good movement out of it. Aaron wants to know what kind of score I would give this one. Well, let's talk about that. So on two different aspects, if I was talking about just the fit and finish of this call alone, it's a 10 out of 10. It is beautiful. It is engraved in the top of the box. They actually have a long beard on the handle portion of it. This thing is a 10 out of 10 out of craftsmanship. It just looks absolutely phenomenal. Sound-wise, I haven't really played with it a lot. I don't know, 9 out of 10 for me with my capabilities. Look at the fit and finish though as you see that call. I mean, this thing is phenomenal. It feels really, really nice. It's got some great tones to it. It is absolutely a perfect call, and that's why I want to call this one. This is the real deal of the day for me. So you got your fire logo, or your fire graphic, bring that on up. That's why I want to call this one the real deal of the day, because $74.99 is your normal retail price. $54.99 is what your sale price is. And again, this is one of those things where we don't have a lot of them in. And this is one where you're going to want to get one of these because you're going to have, this is the last box call, I'm going to say it right now, unless you lose it or you break it, this is the last one you're going to want to purchase. You're going to have this one for a long time. Plus, it's not overly big either, where it will still fit in most of your vests or most of your backpacks or your fanny packs, whatever you're traveling with. This will fit in there. It'll lock in tight. I will actually then take a hairband or a rubber band, and I will wrap it around the backside of the paddle, because you can get a gobble out of this. I love the gobble with my box calls a lot too. So with a band on there, and I know Primos make some fancier bands for that stuff, but this call is awesome. I'm calling it the real shot. It's the TRS real deal. It is the deal of the day. We have 12 of these available. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. There's 12 of these available. $74.99 is your normal retail price. $54.99 is the sales price right now. PTCWG is the code you want to put in the real shot. Remember, Fixed TV members, if you haven't used that $5 coupon, this is probably a good one to use it for. But this is one of those deals where we got to clear them out. We know that there's going to be a lot of cool new stuff coming forth for next spring. We got to get these calls out of here, get them in your hands at a great price. We just talked about Father's Day was last week, and get Dad something a little sentimental here. I mean, if you got any kind of wood carving skills, maybe you put his name in the side of the box, on the bottom of the box, something like that. This is a perfect gift for him. This is one of those things that, hey, you know what, Dad? You tell him I paid full retail. I paid $75 on this call because I know that you're worth it. And realistically, you got it for $54.99, or you got it with your $5 coupon, you got it even cheaper yet. But this is a call, last box call you'll ever buy, in my opinion, if you treat it right. Chalk it up every once in a while. That's going to help waterproof it. That's also going to help maintain that great quality Primos Primo sound. Aaron's just on a roll today. Aaron's saying chalk that up for another great deal on TRS Live. So here it is, TRS real deal of the day. It's their revival from Primo. Has been in the business since 1976. Take advantage of that deal. $74.99 is normal retail. $54.99 while supplies last. Fixed TV subscribers can use their $5 credit. But we're going back into the turkey world after we come back from commercial breaks. On your screen right now, you'll see another Avian X. This is the LCD half strut Jake decoy. This thing looks phenomenal. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks. It's Matt Trotz here with The Guided Life. We just met up with one of the guys from the crew, and he's like, they're on a hot track, so it's put her 4 high and get on these back roads and scream. Every year that I've been a part of that and I go to that class, I always learn something. So these guys are gonna join me, and the reason I asked these two guys in here is because we got Travis, who does a lot of public land hunting, and then Judd and I are private land, owners and hunters for the most part as well. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Welcome back, everybody, to TRS Live. I am Matt Trotz, and we're talking turkeys today on TRS Live. We're saving you a bunch of money on a bunch of high-end turkey decoys, and we're back at it again. Avian X on the desk right now, and this is the half-strut Jake decoy, and this is my personal decoy right here. This thing is phenomenal. I have killed a ton of birds over this decoy. And this thing we talked about with that HDR, that heavy duty realism, this thing here is that aggressive head posture. He's more in that full strut posture. And this is the LCD. So what that means is it's lifelike. It's a collapsible decoy. So this is the same decoy right here, collapsed all the way up. Now, here, let's talk about this. This is actually made of a heavy duty material. This thing is inflatable like a basketball, but it's got the great look to it, and mine has been used and abused. Mine has been put through the paces. I have left mine out. I've actually had turkeys get on the back of this thing and peck at it and spur it and mess with it. I got a little story for you. So my daughter has only hunted with me once in her life. We went turkey hunting. She did the mentor hunt. Again, that's something you can watch on The Guided Life. We had Charlie on here and we talked about that. I had this decoy out with a couple of hens, and it was the Avian X products. And that's the first turkey and the only turkey my daughter's ever killed. So this bird right here has some true sentimental value to me. This is one of my favorite decoys. And this is one that if I am running more of a stationary setup where I'm putting a blind up because I know it's a high traffic area for turkeys, this is the decoy, the Jake decoy that I am bringing along. And I am bringing along something like that Dave Smith or a breeder style hen with this thing, because this posturing that you see right here, this is a super like aggressive posturing, and I'll pull it up. You can kind of see It still is lightweight enough where you could travel with it, but it's got that aggressive posturing to it. It still has, even though it's been beat up, I mean, this decoy for me, oh, is this 5 years old for me? I think I've had this one for over 5 years, and this thing still looks great. And again, like with my decoy stuff, like I'm a rough on it. Like I'll tell you a little fin fact right now. I actually still have some of my Avian X in the back of my car right now just because it's a feather fact. Yeah, I still have my Avian X's in the back of my car right now just because it's sentimental, and I'm still upset that turkey season is over. But again, you got the high definition in the head portion, even though this thing has seen a bunch of use. That lifelike eye. And the cool thing about these decoys with, this kind of style here, that LCD style, is I can wash this thing off if I really wanted to. If I actually felt the need, oh man, look at that copper look on the bottom too as I'm moving it. Can you see that? You can see this thing's even been beat up. The beard is gone. I got to replace the beard. And it's weird that I shot 2 jakes this year. That'll be perfect. This is a meat year for me. But this thing is awesome. It's got some great movement to it. It's sturdy enough that it's going to move really, really well. It's got the collapsible stake. This is a carbon rod stake right here. It collapses into the ground. It sets up in the ground really well. That decoy sits very nicely on top of this carbon stake. This is a great, great decoy. And then at the end of the season, you pull the air out of it. I can actually show you here. I'll go back to this one here. Let's move this aside for right now, otherwise I can see something bad happening. There's a little bit of a tab. Pull that out. Can you hear that, Aaron? Can you hear the air coming out of it? And then you just reinflate it. So if you don't end up shooting any turkeys and it's during that lull portion, you could play basketball with this thing if you really wanted to. You could dribble it all around. But I mean, look at the copper look through it. This thing is great. High definition too to that realism. These feathers are actually bumped out of the body, so it looks really, really good. It adds some natural movement. They went even as far on the tail portion to put the jake feathers, and they molded that into it where you can see the back 3 or 4 feathers are a little bit longer than the rest of it in that 3/4 strut position. This is the one when I know I got an aggressive bird in the area and I really want to fool him and I really want to show him that somebody else is trying to take over his flock. This is the decoy setup that I'm going to run. This is the one for me that really just shows those toms that somebody else is interested in what he's got going on out there in his territory. It's got super, and the other thing too is because it's got that rubber coating to it, it is quiet. This thing is really, really quiet. Like you could bump it up against something, setting it up in the morning, and it's not going to make a bunch of noise like some of those more harder body decoys are. So this is one that I absolutely love. Otherwise, I wouldn't own it. I partner this one a ton with the breeder style hen from Avian X. That is the super easy transportable method that I love. I know I can get in there and I'm going to get a bunch of the right reaction from turkeys. Like look at here. So, okay, brand new, right? Literally just out of a box, this one. This one, I'm not going to lie, it's got better color to it, right? But it's fresh out of the box. Over 5 years old. Look at the head coloring on the same thing. This paint has been standing up to the test of time. And I'm like I said before, I just want you to realize, like, I take care of my stuff, but there's days where my stuff gets beat up. There's not much difference from the eye of the camera right here. In this paint coloring, yeah, maybe it's a little bit better up through the top of the head. It could be touched up. I could get some paint, touch that sucker up, but it still looks fresh out of the box right here. That's why it's collapsed. But the heads, if we just compare the head styling, it looks great. This thing looks great, and there's been a lot of hunts behind this decoy, successful and not successful. But I mean, the thing about it is, if I wanted to, I could take a paint and I could get back in here and touch up some of the wing colorings here that you kind of see back here that are getting a little dull, but that's just it still looks great. This thing still looks great, and it's seen a lot of days in the timber. It's been seen a lot of days in the field. And again, this is that posture. If you partner this with that Dave Smith decoy, that's the nice thing about that Dave Smith decoy is that thing, you can set that thing up in 2 different ways. The ultimate setup for this is a breeder setup. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. So you take your hen decoy, whether it's a high-end Dave Smith and a high-end Avian X, and you push it lower to the ground. where it looks like it's in the breeding position, because a lot of times, right, they'll drop down and the tom's going to approach from the backside. And this is another good tip. Watch the guided life from this year. We actually had a very good Dave Smith and a breeder hen set up in that way. Those birds see that stuff. They cannot tolerate it. They will come in. They're thinking somebody else is moving in on their territory, moving in on their ladies. You partner this decoy with a breeding style hen, whether it's the alert hen or the leading hen that we just talked about, and you sink her all the way down to the ground, whether it's on a stake or not on a stake. A lot of these decoys are heavy enough that you don't need to really stake them. You're not looking for movement at that point. You're just looking for that breeding position. Those birds cannot stand it. And again, it's one of those things too where when you partner this, if you're in a blind or you're setting it up, always try to set it up where the head is looking at you. Because the tom is going to want to dominate. He's going to want to face this thing eye to eye. He's not going to want to approach from the backside. He's going to want to come around. And that's the thing too. A lot of them, they'll give themselves a little space, right? Just because they don't want to get bluff charged. So if I posture this, if I have it against me here in the TRS Live wall, and I have this decoy looking at me right now, I want that bird. He's going to come around. I'm either going to get the head-on shot right here or right here, depending on what side he's approaching at. But now if I'm bull hunting, now as he circles around, whether he's in half strut, three-quarter strut, quarter strut, or he's just walking around, his eyes are focused right here. That tom's eyes are focused right at this lifelike bird right here, this lifelike decoy. I'm bull hunting, that gives me time to draw. I took his eyes away from me. They're focused on this. This is the thing a high-end decoy does for you, is it takes the attention away from you. Sometimes you cannot find the perfect spot to hide. Sometimes you need to put yourself just in a spot. I've had it happen. You hit the box call, that Primo's box call, bird gobbles, you have to set up. There may be small brush. You may have to lay prone on the ground. Whatever you got to do, that bird's coming aggressive, and if he's coming to this, his eyes are focused on this. That allows you to bring the shotgun up. That allows you to take his attention away from you and put it on this decoy. And again, this thing, if you get a BB pattern, hits it, you're going to either be able to patch it, with some good, PVC patching or some rubber patching, rubber cement. You're going to be able to patch it if you can find those holes. Or like epoxy, like Aaron just said. And it's going to continue to give you that lifelike look. It's still a durable enough rubber membrane that it's going to last you a long time. Plus, it's going to make your wife a lot happier, because when you're going through your closet or the garage, you can collapse these things down, put them in the bag, get them out of the way. It's got the great stake to it. It's got the great color to it. It is awesome. This is another high-end, high-quality decoy. I didn't even talk about the price yet. You've been seeing it on your screen. $129.99 is normal retail on this. For $90.99, we have 5 of these available, or we had 5 of these available. This is mine. So Aaron, you always want my stamp of approval. This one gets my stamp of approval. This is my absolute favorite decoy. I love this thing. It does a lot for you as a experienced or a beginner turkey hunter. This is one at that $90.99. I wish I would have got it for that good of a deal. This is the one that I'm going to really, really recommend. I think you're going to get a lot of use out of this decoy for a long, long time. It's going to help coax those decoy shy, mature toms into effective range, whatever that may be for you. This one is my favorite one, and especially if you take advantage of the savings that you're getting right here and you partner with a hen decoy, one that you can either make in a breeding situation or that lead hen that we talked about from Dave Smith and sink her down. Whatever, you partner that with this decoy, you are going to have success. I know you will. Sometimes this Jake is all it takes, and they will come running in out of anywhere. So, and if you don't, here's a little tip too. If you do not have a hen decoy, just place this Jake near some brush. Okay? Why? Because they might think that that hen is posturing off in the brush. So either way, this thing out in front of you, if in a wide open, I would definitely recommend having a hen decoy. But if not, and you have a situation where you can place this and still get a shot, just place him facing the brush a little bit with his head looking in the brush. they're going to either think that a hen's in there on a nest and he's still posturing for it, or there's a hen somewhere dropped down in the grass or in the brush, and they'll draw them in. And hopefully, if you want, that'll draw them past your location so you can get the shot. Again, he's going to be watching this decoy. He's not going to be watching you, especially archery hunting. Man, these things are absolutely incredible. So $90.99 is the deal you've seen today here on TRS Live. It's AXSJD. It's the lifelike decoy here, the LCD. That's that collapsible style. You see it broke down right here in the box. You're looking at it out in nature right there. Man, that thing looks great. So collapsible stake. It's a carbon stake. It's going to last a long time. It's got the nice bag for it. My stamp of approval. This is the one that I would recommend. But we have another show coming at you this week again, and I believe we are going to be talking about some more turkey stuff, and we also have some insect control on the show for Friday at 9 a.m. and that's important to me because yesterday I was doing trail camera stuff, and I'll have some video hopefully that will come out shortly where I was talking about some of the cutting back cameras that I was deploying. But I tested it a little bit. I took some of the Ben's insect sprays that we carry here and that we're going to be talking about on Friday, and I mostly focused on my legs and my pants and my shoes, and I lightly sprayed down my arms, but I forgot to get all the way up here. 0 ticks in all the areas that I sprayed. I had one here and I had one here where I did not spray, and I had, luckily they weren't embedded, but I absolutely hate ticks and the mosquitoes, and the mosquitoes were horrible yesterday at the second location where I put my cameras out. So Friday is one of those great shows where it's these products that some of them we're talking about, I don't really need to talk about them. They're just no-brainers, and the prices are no-brainers. So that's Friday morning, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, again for TRS Live. So enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody, and I will talk to you right away Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time.